I've good news for you. The rapture's come and gone. The bad news is you and I are still here. In fact, I really don't even know anyone was raptured away at all. Do you know of anyone that was raptured away? The scariest thing about all of this is, what if that old lunatic that foretold the end of the world and the rapture and everything, what if he were correct? What message would God be sending us if the rapture occurred? And here we are, still here, wandering around aimlessly. Truth is this: the Bible tells us that not even the Son of God will know the time, nor the angels. How then could this lunatic possibly have any clue as to whether the world was going to end? How could anyone have believed this maniac lunatic? I said, the man doesn't know what he's talking about. And that's not true of just him. It's true probably of 90% of Christians today, who turn to man to find out that which is faith. Because faith by its very nature is to believe that which is unbelievable. So if the person has no qualifications to tell you what is right and what is wrong, he's apt to get it very wrong. My dad, when I was just a child, he told me that acid is like hate, and it does as much damage to the vessel that contains it as to what it is poured upon. Oh, that's profound wisdom from my dad. You have to respect him. Remember, his hand is the hand that touched the hand of William Jennings Bryan, and I touched his hand. So somehow, through some kind of an indirect way, this hand touched the hand that touched the hand of William Jennings Bryan. Isn't it wonderful? And what does it mean? I don't know. We have to do another video on that someday, I guess. The reality here is this: we try to understand that which is totally impossible for us to understand. I try to equate it to an ant in my front yard. I've told you this before. Crawling around under the tree, and he looks up and he sees a Boeing 747 ambling its way to the airport at 182 miles an hour. And the ant looks at it and he said, "I know what that is. Let me explain it to the fellow ants." And then he makes up something, and he explains it to the ants. But let me tell you, in his little ant brain, there is no way in the world he could figure out what that Boeing 747 was doing. Nor could he figure out what was on it, or what it was planning to do, why it was so low. He couldn't figure all of that stuff out, because he was not capable of understanding these things. So the ant would have to resort to faith. Now, if we could communicate to the ants, maybe we could tell one ant, this is what the story is, and I'm far superior to you. We were visited by such a man ourselves. It was our beloved Lord Jesus Christ. He lived his life here on this planet. He became part man, part God, divinity and humanity all mixed together in one person. And he was crucified, nailed on a cross. Oh, the world got the message from the Messiah, from Emmanuel, meaning God is with us. They didn't get that message either. And they nailed him to a cross. They crucified him. That is the way we do things here. It really is. But after he's dead, after he does what God can do and rises himself from the dead, because death had no meaning to him, he came back to a group of people that he had breathed life into. By the way, The only other time we have God breathing life into something, it's when he breathed life into man himself. But here to this group, he comes back with his humanity and his God mixed together, and he precisely tells them, I give you a new commandment. Love one another. Pretty powerful that he would die, come back, and then give us that commandment to love one another. Must be very important. When you try to discern of all these various churches that have broke off from the church that Christ had founded, and said, the netherworld shall never prevail against this, I think you have to give serious thought to that one thing that he said. He said nothing of churches. He only said, a new commandment, love one another. So as you look and try to figure out what you should do, it is a little confusing when the Mother Church has priests running around molesting children. And you keep thinking the netherworld shall never prevail against it. I think back to my roots, St. Francis of Assisi. Interesting man, he ripped his clothes off in front of everybody. He was trying to show poverty. But St. Francis was told, Francis, rebuild my church. And Francis was thinking that he was talking about the physical building, like a lot of Christians feel Christ was talking about, not a church, but a rock on the ground, that the netherworld should never prevail against that rock. See, I can't buy that. And that's why I forever will be a member of that church that Christ founded. However, I think that something's gone wrong with it. It's happened before with St. Francis of Assisi when he rebuilt the church. And then of that church he built, an earthquake in Italy. An earthquake leveled the church again. What message might God have sent to us there? I do not know. I am an old man doing videos, trying to keep from sounding drunk when I don't even drink, trying to focus my mind to give you a word of encouragement, not a word of wisdom, just a word that tells you you're loved and you're okay. That's what I tried to tell you, nothing more, that you're safe and secure. But you must remember the words, the commandment that God, when he gave Moses the commandments, somehow had not listed. But somehow in his divinity as man, he decided to add that so there would be no misunderstanding. Love one another. So as you look at these various churches, trying to figure out which one is correct, I hope you'll give thought that the one thing you must look for is love. Love means you don't kill people. Love actually means you follow those commandments and you respect the Creator. I don't know. It seems so simple. Perhaps it's like my dogs at the end of their life. Just before the end comes, they seem to get it all figured out, and then they die. I want you to get it figured out. At least think about it, the words that I've said. Because if there isn't love in that church, it represents a God of hate and not a God of love. And if the God of hate is the God above, then no matter what we do, we are doomed to hell. Let us be positive and enjoy the time here. Love one another. It's so much better than any other thing that could be done. If you will excuse me.